Celebrities that had emo phases. Emo is a subculture that emerged in the 1980s, and as you can see, it is still a thing today. The emo movement has roots in the punk and hardcore scene, and it's known for its emotionally charged lyrics, often dealing with loneliness, heartbreak, and angst. Emos are also known for their fashion, such as the emo hair, eyeliner, makeup, and the clothing that they wear, such as My Chemical Romance and other band t-shirts. And if you're extremely emo, you'll also wear 12 belts at once, because you can never have enough belts. The emo subculture has also had a significant impact on art, such as movies, TV shows, fashion, music, paintings, the list goes on and on. In this video, we are going to be covering celebrities that had an emo phase or any touch of emo inside of them. This is celebrities that had an emo phase that you didn't know about. Oh, also, did I not mention that I've been lying to you this whole time? That's a wig. God, I would never have that hair. Sonny Moore. Sonny Moore you might know better as Skrillex. Yes, the famous DJ that made the songs such as Rain that goes, Big Smile! Sonny Moore originally was on many of the Warped Tours, and had the iconic photos on MySpace for being an emo god. He was part of the band From First to Last. From First to Last was pretty much as emo as it gets when it comes to music, with their hit song Emily, which is extremely emo. And that's coming from someone that looks like me. I give it the stamp of approval. That is an emo song. But eventually, Sonny Moore wanted to do more than that. Sonny Moore had more interest in other types of music. And in 2008, Skrillex was born. Skrillex's music came at the perfect time, with artists like deadmau5 taking over the scene. And just like that, Sonny Moore was known more for being Skrillex than for being From First to Last. Now Skrillex has done music with Justin Bieber and many other artists, playing sold out shows and being one of the biggest and most iconic DJs in the world. It is absolutely fascinating to see somebody come from the Warped Tour scene and alternative scene and blow up the way that he did. And right when you thought From First to Last would be just in the past, it's not. In 2017, Sonny Moore did come back as the vocalist to From First to Last. They came out with 2 singles, one of them being called Make War and their second single being called Surrender. And they are both fantastic in my opinion. I really enjoyed these songs. But since 2018, we haven't had a new song from them. Katy Perry. Katy Perry came out with their first album on March 6th of 2001. She was instantly destined for success. And 7 years later, in the year 2008, Katy Perry ended up going on Warped Tour. And on that 2008 Warped Tour is where she'd meet the band 303, where the next year they would come out with their song Starstruck. And if that's not emo roots, I don't know what is. I mean, you have a song with 303 and you did 2008 Warped Tour. That's pretty alternative. She also released a song called You're So Gay. And it is rumored that this song is about the one and only bass player for Fall Out Boy named Pete Wentz. One of the main reasons it's rumored to be about Pete Wentz is because in the music video, there is 2 Barbie dolls, Ken and Barbie. And the Ken in this music video is named Harry Wirtz. It's very similar to a person's name in Fall Out Boy. Katy Perry said in this interview that You're So Gay takes the piss out of the emo scene. She also said about the men in the emo scene that they wear more makeup than women, which isn't completely wrong. I mean, look at me right now. So with that being the name of Ken in the music video and the whole thing about eyeliner and people in the scene, people really assume that this song is about Pete Wentz. And I have to agree, that guy wore a lot of eyeliner. In 2007, Katy Perry dated the vocalist of Gym Class Heroes, another band that was affiliated with the alternative scene and was on a lot of the Warped Tours. That vocalist was Travie McCoy. They dated the summer of 2007 all the way to 2008 of December. She was also featured in the Gym Class Heroes hit song Cupid's Chokehold. And recently I did see the founder of Warped Tour, Kevin Lyman, end up at one of her shows and she gave Warped Tour a huge shout out.
I know that there are a lot of orphans in here tonight that weren't really expecting to be at the show tonight. You were expecting to be at a more punk rock show. I just want to welcome you to a pop show where we throw bows just as hard but with a smile. I know you think I'm all refined and stuff, but let me remind you that in 2008 I was on the Warped Tour. I stood in line for catering. I stood in line in my flip-flops for shared showers. And I may have my own shower now. But don't throw me in a pit because I can go. I will go. So please, everyone welcome the emo kids tonight. Shout out Kevin Lyman in the audience tonight.
And for those reasons, I believe Katy Perry has an emo heart. Austin Richard Post, also known by the stage name Post Malone. He's very much a household name at this point, with such songs as Congratulations, White Iverson, and Sunflower, just to name a few. Post Malone is a very unique person. He loves every genre, and I mean every genre, from country to rap to metal to anything. He knows it and loves it. But a very interesting fact about Post Malone, which is just still super bizarre to me, he went to the same school as the vocalist from Crown the Empire, Andy Leo. He even auditioned to be the vocalist of Crown the Empire. And him and Andy Leo are still friends to this day. Post Malone still often talks about bands such as Never Shout Never, Escape the Fate, Plain White Tees. There's even videos of him singing Hey There Delilah on his tour bus.
1,000 miles seems pretty far, but they've got planes and trains and cars.
He just seems like the coolest guy ever. And he even eventually got 2 songs with Ozzy Osbourne, which I know is not technically emo, but it's still in the same world of rock. There's also photos of Post Malone hanging out at emo night. Emo night's a night where people just get drunk and listen to emo music, and for some reason a lot of celebrities show up there. There's even footage of him doing screaming into his mic, and it sounds freaking awesome. As much as the guy is known for being a rapper, he is so much more than that. So without a doubt, Post Malone had an emo phase and is still probably in it. Colson Baker, also known as Machine Gun Kelly. I know this one's probably going to make some people upset. He's a very controversial figure, but I have to say he most definitely did have an emo phase, and quite honestly he was probably into the scene before a lot of us were. Machine Gun Kelly's always listened to artists such as Blink-182 and other pop punk acts. Machine Gun Kelly was originally known for rapping, which we all probably know of because of his diss track with Eminem, where people say that Eminem killed his career and now he does alternative music. But I always found that to be quite a weird argument because he always kind of dabbled in the alternative world. In 2012, Machine Gun Kelly did Warped Tour. I know, shocking. Who would have thought? And in 2013, him and Sleeping with Sirens vocalist Kellen Quinn released a song together. Machine Gun Kelly and Kellen Quinn released a cover of the song Swing Life Away by Rise Against, which is not only covering an alternative rock band, but he's also doing it with the vocalist of Sleeping with Sirens. And then in the future, Machine Gun Kelly and Sleeping with Sirens released a song together called Alone. And that was for Sleeping with Sirens' 3rd album in 2013 called Feel. And just from being on Warped Tour and collabing with artists like that, he was around the alternative scene quite a lot. And there's no denying at this point that he's more known for his pop punk music. And even though some people say that his career ended after him and Eminem had their beef together, where they both did diss tracks on each other, his being Rap Devil and Eminem's being Kill Shot, his Spotify numbers and shows say quite a difference. Now he's playing sold out stadiums and getting 15 million monthly listeners on Spotify a month. And a lot of his drums are done by the one and only Travis Barker. So whether you like Machine Gun Kelly or hate him or just don't even care, I would definitely say he had an emo phase and is still in it. And hell, some might say he fell in love with an emo girl. I'm sorry, I had to say it. Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift's first album came out on October 24th, 2006. And you wouldn't expect her to have an emo phase because she started with country music. And I'll be honest with you, country is emo music for cowboys. And this album instantly blew her up and is now looked back as a classic. And Taylor Swift is now one of the biggest musicians in the world. But a lot of people would be surprised to know that she definitely had an emo phase. There are some photos of Taylor Swift at a young age having the stereotypical kind of emo look. I mean, you can see the black hair. She definitely looked like she was having her emo phase, as they call it. Except for some of us, it just never ends. There's this band called Boys Like Girls. Some people don't seem to remember that Taylor Swift was actually on one of their songs in 2009. And quite honestly, it's one of my favorite songs. I still love to jam to this one. And that beautiful song is called 2 is Better Than 1. I'm only saying that makes her somewhat emo because the Boys Like Girls were on many Warped Tours and are definitely seen as an alternative band. I would put them in the same bubble as the All American Rejects. They were one of those alternative bands that definitely made it onto the radio in the early 2000s and were doing fantastic. So with those old photos of Taylor already looking alternative and the collab with Boys Like Girls, I was like, man, she is already emo. But there's even more to it. Taylor Swift and Hayley Williams of Paramore are good friends, which, you know, I think gives her some emo credit, let's be honest. But after searching, I found this video from 7 years ago of Taylor Swift with Hayley Williams, the vocalist of Paramore, and the vocalist of Dashboard Confessional, Chris Carrabba, all together singing one of his songs. And that song would be Hands Down by Dashboard Confessional.
Hands down, this is the best day I can ever
an extremely iconic emo band, and an extremely iconic emo song. In 2019, Taylor Swift and Brendan Urie, the vocalist of Panic at the Disco, did a song together. And I know this song was not alternative at all, but she does talk about how much of a fan she was of Panic at the Disco, which obviously in the beginning they were definitely known as an emo alternative band. And her just choosing to collab with him just shows how much she loved the alternative world in the past. So with all that being said, I would definitely say Taylor Swift has some emo in her heart. Paris Hilton. This one might surprise you, but in my book, Paris Hilton did have an emo phase. Let me explain why. In the past, you can find a lot of photos of Avril Lavigne and Paris Hilton hanging out together. And this is peak Avril Lavigne skater girl days. Now that doesn't necessarily make Paris Hilton emo though. She also in the past dated Benji Madden, who did guitar and vocals in Good Charlotte. I also found out that Paris Hilton dated the vocalist of Sum 41, Derek Weebly. Just saying, that's another pop punk alternative person that she dated, so I would be surprised if she didn't have an emo phase. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Paris Hilton had an emo phase, but she definitely liked people that were in that world, so call me. In the year 2005, Paris Hilton was in the masterpiece of a movie called House of Wax. And in my book, this movie is as emo as some would say Jennifer's Body, which I know is kind of crazy to say because Jennifer's Body had Fall Out Boy posters in it and that one emo guy that gets killed that everyone says I look like, but this movie had something that Jennifer's Body did not have: My Chemical Romance playing in the movie. And whenever I see a horror movie, I just assume it's kind of in the alternative world. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think mostly due to just having My Chemical Romance songs playing in the movie. I mean, that's just iconic, you know? Paris Hilton and My Chemical Romance and people dying. It's beautiful, I think. But here's a main reason why I think Paris Hilton had somewhat of an emo phase. In the year 2008, she was in the horror movie / musical called Repo, the Genetic Opera. And this whole movie is as emo as it gets. I mean, it looks like something made by Tim Burton or Marilyn Manson. It is very gothy, very emo, and absolutely screams 2008. I mean, that was peak alternative, let's be real. Also, from looking around, I found some photos of Paris Hilton dressed in a more alternative emo fashion. Now, I'm not sure if those are just costumes or if she actually had a phase where she dressed like this, but I love it and I want to see more of it. So please just be emo, Paris Hilton. Let this be a thing. Kelly Clarkson. In 2002, Kelly Clarkson auditioned for American Idol, and she would happen to be the first person to ever win American Idol. And in 2004, Kelly Clarkson would release a hit song called Since You've Been Gone. And this song, in my opinion, always had like an edgy feel to it. It's, you know, kind of momcore, I would call it. I don't know if that's a genre, but that's what I'm gonna call it. But I always loved it. It always had like a punk kind of edginess to it. By just looking at these photos, you can tell that Kelly Clarkson definitely had a rocker, alternative, emo style, which definitely leads me to believe that she had an emo phase. But the main reason I think Kelly Clarkson had an emo phase is because of her newer TV show that came out. On September 9th, 2019, Kelly Clarkson would launch her first ever talk show. And on this talk show, Kelly Clarkson would cover songs. Some of the songs she's covered definitely lead me to believe that she had an emo phase and she's still going through it. One of the songs being All the Small Things by Blink-182, Welcome to the Black Parade by My Chemical Romance. Another song she covered is Radiohead's Exit Music for a Film. And if you don't know Radiohead, that is one of the most emo songs I've heard in my life. It might not be black eyeliner emo, but lyrically and depressing wise, it is a very much emo band and emo song. And probably the most emo song, the one that got away by Katy Perry. Okay, maybe that one's not technically emo, but that song is sad as hell. And she even covered Glimpse of Us by Joji. This girl is going through something. She chooses every song that she covers on this show, and she very much loves the music that she covers. And if you're covering My Chemical Romance and Blink-182 and Lit and all these bands, I'm definitely gonna say you have an alternative emo phase. Demi Lovato. Now, if you know anything about Demi Lovato, you'd probably not be shocked that Demi Lovato has some alternative emo roots. Demi Lovato's first role on TV was on Barney. Yes, Barney the dinosaur, Demi was on it. In the future, Demi would start working on shows on Disney Channel, such as the Bell Rings, Sunny with a Chance, and So Random. Demi would also be in a few Disney movies such as the iconic Camp Rock 1 and 2, which also have slight emo alternative vibes in it, and I think that's mostly because of Joe Jonas's hair, I'm gonna be honest. On September 23rd, 2008, Demi Lovato released their first album. This album had more of a rocker pop punk vibe to it, and it was called Don't Forget. You could always sense that Demi had this alternative rock vibe to them. In my opinion, opinion, it has kind of a punk feel to it because it shades Disney. It has lines about wearing dresses with Converse and stuff like that. It is just kind of edgy, I guess. Demi Lovato back in the day would also attend Warped Tour as a fan. And in that Warped Tour world, Demi Lovato became friends with the band We the Keens. Now, We the Keens is not necessarily the most alternative emo band in the world, but they're definitely alternative. They've been on so many Warped Tours, and they're definitely in the scene. And in the year 2009, Demi Lovato and We the Keens released a song together called Will Be a Dream. And during this whole time, you could just see that Demi Lovato was super into the alternative look and fashion. Demi was rocking eyeliner, wearing a lot of black, and just kind of rocker clothing. And last year, in 2022, Demi Lovato released their most rock alternative emo album yet. And that album would be called Holy It's the F word with a V in it. I don't know. Holy fuck. I can't even say it. It says holy fuck. Yeah, you get the idea. And this album was pretty ballsy in my opinion to do because Demi Lovato before that was known for songs like Skyscraper and all these pop songs that were hitting the charts super high. And then they're going to release this whole rock album that's just way different and more electric guitar-y and kind of grungy, I guess. This album would feature artists like Royal and the Serpent, which is also an artist that is very featured into the alternative world and does more of a grungy kind of rock style. And I feel like it really solidifies that Demi Lovato is not just having an emo phase, but an emo life. And for these reasons, I definitely believe that Demi Lovato is emo. Thank you all so much for watching, and be sure to check out my merch at johnnyguilbert.com. And you can check out my music and all my social media linked down below. Thank you for watching. Stay up and not crappy. Life's a bitch, don't quit, and peace out. Okay, bye!